So apparently, all the politicians are now on cocaine. We have footage that proves it.
A mustache.
Cocaine mustache. They're snorting the booger sugar. The world leaders, they all get together behind closed doors and they say, all right, let's just have a big party with cocaine, whatever other drugs, meth probably for some of them. I mean, look, this is the way our current political structure is globally. It's all these party animals who think they're cool, who think they're better than everyone else, who are gay a lot of the time. And now they're in charge of making the policies that decide the fate of our entire Western world. So there we go. Welcome to it. Go ahead and play the footage. Let's jump right into it. Before we even go to the intro, play this footage. So this is the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and it shows her clearly high on cocaine. You can see the mannerisms. There she is. Like what is that? And by the way, the reason why she's a former prime minister is in part because of videos like this. People were able to catch on to the fact that she was in fact doing drugs. And you can see, I mean, it's like, look at that. It's so obvious. She claims it's a sweat mustache. Anyone watching that video can clearly see that is not a sweat mustache. Joe, what is that, Joe? What does that look like to you? As a former dealer of said substances.
I never did them.
He never did them.
But there's 100%. Did you ever notice that the world leaders that are in these positions, though, are just really ugly people?
On the inside especially, but on the outside too. Yeah. I mean, she's not that ugly, but she certainly has like a weird, she used to be more attractive, by the way, when she was younger, obviously. And then the drugs combined with the wokeness turned her from that within a very short period of time into what we see on the screen there. By the way, Joe when he was a teenager, so he's that was I did he had a tough life, tough time growing up. So yeah,
I mean, it wasn't tough for me. I made $5,000 in about 15 minutes. Now I don't say that I'm not telling you that's the right thing to do. That was before Jesus, but I will tell you that it was quite profitable.
I give him a hard time for that.
I never did my own stuff though. I never did drugs. Does that make it even worse?
It makes it slightly
it makes it slightly worse, I think.
Well, why is it worse? I think it's slightly better. I mean, at least, yeah, you're hurting others to make money, but at least you're not doing it too. That's slightly better. Still really bad though.
Well, we had a lot to talk about today.
We do have a lot to talk about.
And my misgivings as a teenager is probably not. Well, we should talk about it.
No, we're banned. It's officially banned to ever mention that again on the show.
No. We'll probably talk about it again. But we've got a lot to talk about. She's not the only one to snort cocaine.
No, she's not.
And last night at 10 o'clock at night, I get a phone call from Ed Solomon. And he, by accident, went and gathered more information about the cast vote records in Colorado, because he's like, something, let's just go back and redo it again. And then he compared the files. And you're not going to want to miss this. You are not going to want to miss what we discovered in Colorado. They're covering their tracks.
Wow.
But we're going to talk about that and a ton more today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people. All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Yeah, when I walked in into the office today, Joe was doing the cocaine snort.
Because I saw
to mimic.
I saw the picture and I go, this can't be real. Turns out it was real.
Turns out it is real. These politicians are doing drugs, and these are the people it's associated with wokeness. The woker you are, the more drugs you're doing. That's basically the way it works. And by the way, Joe's been alcohol-free, drug-free his entire life, and alcohol-free for the last
8 months.
8 months. So that's really good. Round of applause for Joe in the comment section.
Can we-
Like I think we should encourage everyone. If
Yeah.
you can stay away from it as much as possible, that's always a good thing. But go ahead and play the footage. Look at this footage. 3 world leaders: Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, which I hate his name, by the way. Look at this. So you can watch. So there they are gathering on the train. This is going into Ukraine from Poland, and you see clearly he moves his hand, grabs a little baggie. There's also that which
There's a straw. There's a straw.
yeah. And you see Oopsie Daisy, and the other guy, by the way, is some politician from Germany, who obviously he has the top level. He has the SS level cocaine. Like that's top directly from Hitler's bunker. Bringing it onto the train. He's probably the supplier there with his little drug paraphernalia on the table. He has the SS cocaine, Joe. That's top level stuff. But you see them shaking hands. A little chubby guy walking around pretending like, by the way, he today said he's going to be tough on immigration.
What room were they in?
One of the rooms in the train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why it looks weird. That's why it doesn't make any sense.
So they're doing cocaine on the train.
Cocaine. A cocaine train.
Cocaine. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. But both of the guys, Macron and the politician,
Keir Starmer, yeah, and the German politician,
they all look like they're guilty. Look at them putting it away.
Yeah, and they you can tell in their facial expressions they look like drug users.
Yeah,
and they look like they're hiding something specifically in the video. And on top of that, this was a surprise footage, so they weren't expecting the cameras to come in and catch them when they came out, and so that's why they didn't have it in advance already put away. I mean, and this isn't a surprise. Everyone knows these are party animals. If you go to Washington, D.C. and have any of the access to what really happens there, you know all of them are doing drugs. So it's not like, oh my God, some big surprise. Trump's one of the only politicians in the country and in the world, in the Western world, who does not do at least some drugs or has an alcohol problem. Almost all of them do.
No question. You know who else has a drug problem?
Who?
Zelenskyy.
Oh yeah, that's Zelensky's probably his drug problem is probably the worst of everyone.
Do we have Zelenskyy doing some meth?
Yeah, we have the video.
Our largest donor of military equipment to Ukraine, and we said that we would match or exceed that amount, almost 2.5 conversations, which is why we've provided it on, but also those long range.
Not bring to anything good.
Phase of the battle, and that's a very productive conversation that we're having today as well. Good.
Wow. Well, you know, it's not.
And by the way, they also give them to the soldiers in Ukraine and Russia, so they're more willing to die for the politicians.
Well, I don't know. I mean, so let's talk about that for a minute. I don't know. I actually don't know if no, I'm not going to say it.
What?
You know, soldiers fight for their countries because they want something, they want to have a better outcome. But what's happening in Ukraine is people are just being put out there as fodder. And they're not fighting for what they believe in.
And they're being taken in vans against their will, being ripped from their children, and they don't want to fight. They don't believe in it. Many of them even would rather be part of Russia than part of Ukraine because of how poorly Ukraine has been run for the better part of a decade and even before then.
Well, you're looking at a large group of people that frankly are just running the country into the ground. It was the place that the bad people went around the world. You have Klaus Schwab has been there and George Soros, and you know, this is in large part why they don't want to create a peace agreement in Ukraine, because if they got a peace agreement in Ukraine, then a lot of the things about Zelenskyy would come out almost immediately.
Did you hear Zelenskyy and Putin are supposed to be meeting too? That would be interesting to watch. I mean, from Zelenskyy saying Putin is going to kill him within a short period of time, which never happened, by the way, and Putin probably could have if he really wanted to.
He could have.
And now they're going to be meeting. A little crazy. It's going to be drama. It's going to be interesting to watch that.
Do you think
if it'll happen.
But do you think that at some point that Zelenskyy might get overlooked in that meeting?
I mean, he's like 5'5"? I mean, Putin's a small guy too, though, to be fair.
He's not that small.
I wouldn't say, if I was in the room with Putin, I would say, excuse me, sir, you look very tall today. Like if I was sitting across from Putin, wow, sir, you look very, very tall and good today, sir. Or else you get shot. So I'm only brave enough to say that from a distance. But yeah, Putin's pretty small as well. They're both small.
Hey, somebody keeps asking for you, Apollo. Pop on so we can have proof of life. Someone says, Joe, where is Apollo? Hold on, so we should probably show proof of life.
You need some POF or POL.
There he is. Apollo is here. There you
I am
go.
alive. I am alive. Good to see you all. My camera's being freaky.
Yeah, it's doing some crazy stuff back there.
Yeah, camera's on cocaine. Cocaine camera, cocaine train, cocaine plane.
All right, do we have Ed yet? We do. Now, Matt, before we bring Ed on, Ed Solomon, it's funny that we talk about selling drugs, and I don't want to talk about it here today, but Ed is probably one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. He's a mathematician. The guy makes me want to go back to textbooks and learn more about math. I thought I was smart. And I don't have anything on him. And but Ed has been, for the last 4 years, digging into what's going on in the elections in a way that becomes impossible for you to disprove. In other words, we've put all of his findings up on Bards, up on ChatGPT, changed the dynamic of it so that ChatGPT and Bards do not recognize it as an election, saying, okay, we're going to change this to automobiles. And it said, without a doubt, that there was fraud in those environments, massive fraud. Now, they've been walking past this. But one of the things that I asked Ed to do a long time ago is, Ed, I want you to look under the hood and tell me what's going on in the Colorado elections. Now, Tina Peters is in jail. Jenna Griswold has literally gone around and said that President Trump can't touch Tina, can't take her out. You know, we prove in a court of law, we proved that she was guilty, which is not the case. They're liars.
Yep, they are.
And now what they're doing is they're going back and they're changing the cast vote records to get rid of the algorithms that were used in order to steal elections. Dominion Voting Systems' home is in Colorado, and what they've done in Colorado to install leaders all over our state and all over the country is absolutely undeniable. So with that said, Ed, welcome to the show. Okay, you're
Hello?
unmute.
All right.
There we go.
I'd like to say good evening, but don't mind the paper towel. The camera would be, you wouldn't be able to see me right now if I didn't have my ghetto curtain here, okay? Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say. So anyway, long story short is Joe had asked me to look at Proposition B in Colorado several years ago. And when I initially looked at it, I didn't see anything wrong because I only looked at the yes vote versus the no vote, okay? And it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. I said, Joe, I hate to tell you there's nothing wrong, okay? Joe was like, no. And when he explained what it was like it repeals the Gallagher Amendment, like double and triple people's property taxes.
100%.
Like, well, I'm like, whoa, okay, I'll take one more look. And you have to understand that unlike traditional cast vote records, the way you had to look at it wasn't the way you would normally think, okay?
All right,
So
back up and tell everyone what a cast vote record is so they can understand what we're talking about. So cast vote records
vote record is the sole source of tabulations from which an election is certified, okay? It comes straightly from Dominion or ES&S or whoever the proprietary software vendor is. They send that cast vote record to the state along with a general summary of what the column totals were. And then that's what gets certified. Okay? Like Georgia state law makes it very explicit. the electronic recording devices and the thumb drives or whatever, they shall be brought to the central tabulation terminal where the ballot shall be computed. That's what it says in state law, not counted, computed. So that's the first time the ballot exists in law, is when it gets computed as central counting. And the result therein is what shall be certified. There's no human being that counts ballots at any point, okay? So when Georgia said they were hand counting ballots, that's not true. They're only hand counting the number of pieces of paper. They're not allowed to actually count the candidate selections, okay? That's against the law in their own state code. All right, so it's, long story short is the cast vote record it doesn't have the name or the identity of the voter, but it has the order in which the ballots were processed as central counting, 1, ballot 2, 3, all the way to ballot 1 million, and it has ones and zeros. If you voted for this guy or you didn't, or you voted on this ballot proposition or you didn't, okay?
Right.
So that's all the cast vote record is. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros that are actually human readable. You can read them, and that means you voted for this guy or you didn't vote for this guy, okay? So the way I had
zeros being no and ones being yes.
Correct.
Right.
So if you look at Proposition B, there'll be 2 columns on the Gallagher Amendment, the no column and the yes column. So there's only 3 ways that these columns can look. 1, 0, which means you voted no. 0, 1, which means you voted yes. Or 0, 0, meaning you didn't vote for either. Okay, that would be an undervote. An overvote would be if there's 2 ones, which doesn't even appear in their cast vote record. So it's disjoint because you can't vote yes and no at the same time. Okay, so you can't vote for Trump and Biden at the same time. But you could be a weirdo and you could vote for Trump and a Democrat senator at the same time. Okay,
which we found.
So, yeah, at extraordinary rates in 2024. Amazing.
Right.
But that's not the point today. So Apollo, can you bring up image number 2 real quick so people can understand what I found in Arapahoe County, Colorado?
Here we go.
Wow.
Okay, zoom in really hard on the left side. So what this says is there's 350,000 ballots in Arapahoe County's 2020 general election. Okay, it's the biggest blue county in Colorado. And I actually didn't think they were going to rig the proposition here. I thought this was going to be a standard by which to compare it against the Republican counties where I thought they were watering it down. Okay. All right, so the red line is what percentage of Trump voters voted no on the proposition. So when you see the red line is at 48%, it means 48% of Trump voters voted against raising their property taxes. The blue line is what percentage of Biden voters voted against it. Can anybody see the difference between the red and blue lines?
No.
Not much.
So basically every batch of 10,000 ballots, Democrats and Republicans voted identically in every single batch from start to finish throughout the entire election. But if you only looked at it as yes versus no, regardless of how they voted for president, you wouldn't have known there was anything wrong, Joe.
So you took, say that one more time. You took the people who voted no against the percentage of Trump and Biden voters who voted no. In other words, the same percentage.
So the red line is Trump voters only in isolation. Only Trump voters. I say here's 10,000 ballots, consecutive ballots. Isolate the Trump voters. What percentage of them oppose Proposition B? So let's say it's 48%. Okay. And I say, okay, now let's look at the remaining Biden voters. How did they vote on Proposition B? Oh, look, they also voted 48.01% in that batch. That happens for every single batch. They voted identically.
So it's a what basically you're saying is it's a manufactured election.
It's not statistically possible for that to happen.
Show them the right side image. The right side of this image, Apollo.
And how many total data points were there for each one? Looks like hundreds. So there were hundreds of.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm rolling over a window of 10,000 ballots. Okay. Now this is the same exact cast vote record, but I just scrambled it by a random number. Okay, I just randomly shuffled the existing cast vote record. Do you see how there's no lockstep motion between Democrats and Republicans here?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it ordinarily would look like if Democrats and Republicans both voted 43% no on this ballot proposition. Paulo, can you open the image I sent you in the last email called Victory Slide PNG?
See, this is the part where it's not even possible for it to operate this way. It's not possible.
That's why Gina Griswold is on news on CNN,
Right,
telling them, oh yeah, we have to make sure Tina stays in prison. She's a criminal. We can't have her getting out. And then people looking into this because she knows she's going to be going right where Tina is right now once all this.
I hope she gets the death penalty. It is treason.
Oh,
guys,
they were trying to do with Tina on me, what we're going to get to later in the show, that they were trying to walk me into a huge perjury charge when I show you how they changed the cast vote record. Okay.
All right, let's
Thank
go.
God I caught him. All right, so zoom in on the right, again, the left side. You're looking at El Paso. And again, the red line is how Trump voters voted on Proposition B in El Paso. They voted about 63% no, okay? And Democrats voted 33% no in the blue line. You guys see that? The red line is 63. And Democrats are around 33. And you'll see that in pretty much every county in Colorado. There's a 30 to 40% difference in how Democrats and Republicans, or Trump and Biden voters, voted on this ballot proposition, which makes sense, okay? But now notice that the cumulative percentage of Republicans is going down. You see that?
Yes.
Yes.
That wasn't, it was a red flag, but it wasn't a smoking gun because El Paso's a red county. So I said, oh, it looks like they're watering down how Republicans voted on it. Well, let me go to a blue county like Arapahoe, where there aren't many Republicans, because they wouldn't alter the choice there very much, would they? And then I got that lockstep motion pattern. Now show them the right side of this image. So look at El Paso on the left, 30% difference between Democrats and Republicans, and then look at Arapahoe. Do you see how the red line is actually under the blue line in Arapahoe? That's the cumulative percentage. Okay, they voted identically the same. Now pull up image 1, Apollo 01. This is their new cast vote record that they uploaded. This is I know it's a shitty graph, but it's a cumulative percentage. This is the new Arapahoe data. Republicans are the blue line here, and Democrats are the orange. But I didn't do any artistic work because no artistic work needed to be done. It now says that 63% of Republicans voted against it in Arapahoe, and 30% of Democrats voted against it in Arapahoe. So they uploaded a new cast vote record for the 2020 election in March of 2024, just as our court case is about to go to trial in June.
Okay, wait a minute.
So
you had brought this down before 2024, and you went and regathered the cast vote records?
Yes, because Draza was asking me to help them in their appeal from the 4th District Court in their SCOTUS case. So I was going to join a new case, which I still am. And I was starting to write about this lockstep motion in Arapahoe, showing that an algorithm, because listen, even humans stuffing ballots illegally can't produce perfection like that with the lockstep, okay?
No.
And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to make a quick 5-minute video for the Supreme Court judges so they can see how quick this is to replicate. And all you do is you open the cast vote record, you make 4 columns, Trump no, Biden no, Trump yes, Biden yes, and then you do the percentage of Republicans and Democrats that voted against a proposition, and boom, you have your graph in under 3 minutes. That's how easy it is. So as I was making the video for the Supreme Court of the United States and on this appeal, when I graphed it, it looked like the last image you just saw with the orange and the blue line. It was completely different. There was no lockstep motion, and now there was a large difference between how Democrats and Republicans voted on the ballot proposition. Then Jeff O'Donnell, Roger Fuller, Draza, many other people, all independently confirmed the alteration of this cast vote record. They all have it forensically fingerprinted with the hash files. They have it burned to read-only drives now. We have the metadata.
So we have them. We have them inside of the city and county, which is run by the way, this is all done by the Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold. Jenna Griswold is responsible for all of it. Lock that bitch up. I'm telling you right now, Matt, that piece of caught myself. Like I
Pull
catch
up
myself on this.
pull up the Clark versus Arapahoe image, Apollo. So I want you guys to see this, okay? So now everybody knows what Arapahoe is. Now we're going to look at Clark County in 2024 in Nevada. This is where our court case is with Andy, okay? I'm just waiting for him to pull up that picture. It's called Clark versus Arapahoe.png.
And so the specific allegation is, by the way, it's great to hear your analysis, Ed. The specific allegation is that they, and it seems provable, it's not just an allegation anymore, but is that they decided with some of these votes to alter certain zeros and ones to make it so that the vote for certain propositions would be different than how people actually voted. Is that correct?
Yes, so they're what they wanted to do was they're probably looking for expert witnesses to help defend them against the lockstep motion. Every expert witness, I imagine, told them, "I can't help you defend. I cannot defend you against Mr. Solomon in court on that. Anybody in junior high school understands how bad that is. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can pay me. Goodbye." So they then said, "Okay, well, we're going to have to alter the cast vote record." And then get an innocent expert witness who doesn't know that, and then say that he didn't get lockstep motion and Edward Solomon lied, and then we're going to lock him up for perjury right there in court. That's what they were planning to do. Everybody agrees on our legal team. That's exactly what they were planning to do.
So they just changed the data.
Yes, they forged a new cast vote record. Our case in Andy Thompson is mass federal conspiracy to the forgery of cast vote records. They just
why wouldn't we file? Why wouldn't we file? They did prove they could forge them, but why don't we file an emergency motion in the state of Colorado and bring?
Well, I know the judge is going to be hammering them from the bench. So the judge is a stand-up guy. He's a double major in economics, which means he's good at math, okay, and in philosophy. So they can't pull the wool over his eyes on lockstep motion. He's so good.
Where's this?
Judge Reynolds in the
That's out of Nevada,
Vegas.
right?
Yep, in the Las Vegas District Court of Andy Thompson versus State of Nevada. All right, so let's look at that image real quick. All right, so there's Arapahoe again on the left. We've all seen that. On the right is Clark County, okay? 2024 in the state of Nevada. Again, this is how Democrats and Republicans, Trump and Kamala voters, this is the rate at which the percentage changed on how they voted on state question number 3, which was open primaries, to adopt open primaries and ranked choice voting. Do we see a problem here?
Yeah, they've just rigged the machines. They literally have rigged it. And the mail-in ballots, the problem with this is that the mail-in ballots are the gas to the machine. Because there's no chain of custody.
Way, they haven't altered the Nevada cast vote record. We confirmed that last night and did all the forensics. So that parallel motion, that lockstep motion, is still in the Nevada cast vote record. Pull up the last image, Apollo, called Clark and Washoe Stadium. This is for people who are really bad at math, okay? And this is the basis example for the layman, okay? So zoom in on the top left real quick, or just the top. I actually want them to see both top graphs.
And Matt loves like crypto stuff, so he's getting this pretty succinctly.
Okay. So this again is the top is Clark County and the bottom is Washoe. We'll look at Washoe in a second. And again, we split this by Trump and Kamala voters, red and blue. What percentage of them voted against state question number 3, which is open primaries and ranked choice voting? Okay. Do you see in the yellow boxes how they're moving in perfect parallel?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the next thing. This is the top left is the early vote and the early vote only. You see how it says 72% of Republicans voted against it?
Yes.
Okay, do you see how it says 46% of Democrats, which are Kamala voters, voted against it?
Yeah.
Okay, the next picture is Clark County's election day vote. Do you see how Republicans dropped from 72 to 49% and Kamala voters dropped from 46 to 26?
Wow.
Why would the way in which a Democrat or a Republican cast their ballot earlier election day so dramatically affect how they voted on ranked choice voting and open primaries?
Couldn't it be
There's
that it's a different demographic? Maybe it's younger versus older versus
No.
So you think this is proof that they rigged it to make it so that it was lower for the no votes for both Republicans
Yes.
and Democrats?
That's not even the mail-in
Well,
vote.
it's more complicated than that though, because what we're looking at right now is that imagine this. Imagine if you had 100 people, Matt. They were all lined up in a line. And Democrats, Republicans, you had 100 people, right? And out of those 100 people, everyone, Democrat, Republican, say you had 2 Democrats, Republican, 2 Democrats, Republicans, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, right? They would have to have voted the same way every single time in line for that to happen.
Which is basically impossible. And I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, but what was the result of the vote, Ed, for that specific one that we have on the chart there? Did the bill end up passing? Did the
So
proposition
they
pass?
have to pass it. They have to pass it 2 election cycles in a row.
Okay.
They got it through in 2022, and they failed. Thank God they failed in 2024, but they tried very hard to get it through.
Wow.
But not on abortion. So we agree that election day is the most conservative voting bloc, right?
It is.
Why would Republicans go from 80% no on abortion in the early vote to 50% no on abortion on state question 6 in the election day vote?
There's no possibility Republicans are going to vote 50% on abortion. It's not even remotely realistic. I mean, why are these people so sloppy though?
These are late-term abortions, by the way, 7 months.
It's disgusting.
I mean, what I'm telling you is that we don't have there is no part of our election system that is real. It's not real.
Right. We're not looking at how people voted at all.
Matt, it's not real.
synthetically engineered.
I'm telling you, the whole thing
is the reason why it's so synced. Because if obviously these people are dumb that are trying to rig the elections to some degree. They're smart enough to do it, but not smart enough to cover their tracks. Why didn't they make it harder to clearly see the evidence that they cheated?
You can't.
They made it very hard because if you just look at yes versus no, you don't see anything.
You don't see it.
Right.
You have to split it into four ballot sets, which they didn't even think about. They left an artifact that they weren't even aware of.
And a lot of that has to do.
Joe. Like in Arapahoe, they said, we're just going to set the yes to no ratio to whatever we wanted, ignoring how people voted for president. They didn't even occur to them. So then when you go look at how it looks at party lines, they're moving in perfect lockstep because they're affecting both parties equally. It's an unintended side effect. You ever played Half-Life?
No.
The video game Half-Life? Okay, well, the first scene
there's about a 0 chance
unforeseen consequences. Okay, Half-Life, the first level is called Unforeseen Consequences of Scientists Doing Stupid Things. This is a perfect example. They didn't realize that, yes, you can hide it across 2 sets of ballots, yes and no, or Trump versus Biden. But the moment you go into 4 divisions or 8 divisions of ballots, we start getting parallel motion. Okay? They didn't mean for this to be seen, and now they went back and retroactively uploaded new cast vote records that make it look different in Arapahoe.
What does it look like now on the new records? How do we have proof of the new records being uploaded? Where's the proof of that?
We have the new records.
That comes from Mark Cook.
So you can see, and you can clearly see the difference between the new records. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Right? Obviously, they cheated, but you can clearly see the new records versus the old records.
Yes.
That's the whole point. I mean, the whole point is that it doesn't make any sense.
Remember how there's no divide in Arapahoe between Democrats and Republicans? Now there's magically a 30% divide between them as well. So not only are they not moving in parallel, now there's a 30% divide like in the other counties.
It's almost like that could explain why Joe Biden was able to get more votes than anyone in history by a significant margin and almost 10 million more votes. Population percentage than he did in 2024.
Well, this just gets to, if you look at see, here's the thing: we've forgotten more about the evidence that we have of the fraud in 2020 and 2022 and 2024 than we could put in the show, right? But if you go back to the audit that happened in Arizona specifically, every single one of the boxes was open, and you had some boxes that had over 30 precincts in that box, which is impossible. But all the votes added up because they just stuffed ballots in each one of them, which is why fraudulent ballots became a real thing in Arizona, because they knew the ballots were fraudulent. And they had no chain of custody, and they couldn't find having a canvas that would align with it. And they took away our ability.
In Arizona, the ballot is still defined as the piece of paper you vote on, the physical piece of paper.
Right.
Whereas in Nevada, it's just a purely electronic entity that doesn't exist until it's computed at central counting.
And
so in Nevada, they had a huge problem because everything is still on paper.
I mean, look, I could steal elections all day long, twice on Sunday. I could do it right now. Like, if you handed me the system, I could rid every election for Peter Pan.
And I could do it without ever leaving a trace.
And you've never, yeah. Oh, it's not. Look, it's not. Ed, it's not difficult when you set the parameters to all of the log files to 2 KBs, 5 KBs. I mean, think about this.
I want to show them a second. I want you guys to see the Washoe half of that picture, by the way.
And we have our supervillain team assembled right here. We're good to go. We don't even need anyone else. We need to build a layer, and we need to go ahead and start our supervillain. We need to start our supervillain squadron and get started. It's time. We're ready. It's the arc of the bad guys coming and becoming the good guys is ready to start.
All right, Paulo, can we see the second half of the picture? The same one? So remember, they went from like 70 down to 50 and then like 40 down to 26. Now show them Washoe County, which is in the center graphs below it. Remember that's 26% no for Democrats. Oh, what?
This is Washoe. 56 and 26.
No, there should be one that says Clark, and the other, the one with the yellow boxes on it.
That's the one up top. The one up top was for Clark.
Okay. So
this
now, do you notice that Democrats both ended 26% no in both counties?
Yeah.
In the election day vote, and they both dropped from 40. Now you see those 2 stadiums down there.
Yeah. Yep. Put the stadiums up.
So I want people to see these stadiums. So when you have people voting 75, 80% no, like they did on abortion, that's or 80% no in Washoe County. See how it's 80% no for Republicans in the early vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Are the stadiums on the screen?
They are. Yeah. I see them right now.
Yeah. That is a 4-to-1 ratio against against ranked choice voting and state question number 3. Okay. So if you fill the stadium full of hundreds of thousands of Trump voters and gave them red signs if they were opposed to open primaries and ranked choice voting, and green signs if they were for it, that's what the stadium would look like, that little sliver of green against an entire ocean of red. But when that drops to a 55-50% ratio, that's nearly 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
You guys see how insane that is?
It's impossible.
It is impossible. And visually.
Now think about this. Impossible, but this happened all over the country. And it happened in ES&S, Smartmatic, and I mean, this is everywhere. This exists everywhere. Colorado, Nevada,
is in Georgia,
Arizona,
it's in Pennsylvania, everywhere. You can find crazy things like this in everywhere.
That's why this morning when President Trump said something about doing an executive order, that's why I said, hey, look, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but if we don't get to the bottom of election fraud, if we don't get to the bottom of getting rid of machines and mail-in ballots and get to a place where we have decentralized counting, we have no chance. None. We're done. We're cooked.
The last image is abortion. It's the last new email I sent you, Draza, and then we can just talk about
Draza. You talking about?
Meant Apollo. I was literally writing an email.
Bro, I could be Draza. No problem, man. I am Draza.
Okay. I was writing an email to her as we were speaking real quick.
And here's what everyone doesn't understand about Draza. She worked for Sandia Labs. Like these are some of the smartest mathematicians that you're going to find out there.
Yeah, I didn't even know what a hash file was until her and Mark Cook taught me what they were yesterday.
Well, Mark's semi-retarded. Mark is semi-retarded, but Draza is really smart. Yeah, I'm saying that for your benefit, Mark, because I know you're watching right now. I'm just kidding. He's not.
Is this retarded. Clark versus Washoe detail?
Yes, that's it. That's abortion, and this happens in every state that had an abortion amendment, by the way, in their cast vote record, not just Nevada. Okay. happened in Colorado and Maryland. I assume it happened in Arizona because Arizona still hasn't given us their 2024 cast vote record. So let me know when that image is up. Okay, zoom in on the left side of it. And again, the red line is the percentage of Trump voters that were against 7-month abortions. And the blue line is the percentage of Kamala voters that were against 7-month abortions. Okay, it says up to fetal viability with no restriction, which is 7 months in Nevada. Okay, so you'll see here that in the mail-in vote, the first mail-in vote, Republicans voted 55% no. Then in the early vote, they jumped up to 70% against abortion. Then in the second mail-in vote, they randomly dropped down to 50%, which is 1-to-1 against abortion. And the third mail-in vote, they keep dropping. That's only Trump voters. Now, the election day votes was the most conservative bloc, right?
Yep.
So why would we have 50% of Republicans voting in favor of 7-month abortions in Clark County?
We didn't.
And the fact that, I mean, I will say though, the amount of Democrats to support abortions after 7 months is utterly disgusting. And I would hope that to some degree
I don't
that was
think that's
manipulated,
true.
but
I don't think that's true. I talked to all my family members were Kamala voters at Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
I talked to them about this. Believe it or not, we can have civil conversations. And I said, do you believe that only 5% of Democrats voted against this? And they said, absolutely not. The issue is so disgusting that because there were kids at Thanksgiving, we couldn't even say what it was we were talking about. We just call it the ballot question. Okay? Not a single one of my family members would have voted for this. There's no way that only 5% of Democrats oppose 7-month abortions. And you get that in every single state. You get that in Maryland. You get that in Colorado. Again, I'm presuming in Arizona because they don't produce their cast vote record. If they want to prove me wrong, they can put it out for me.
Why won't they put it out there? Probably because they.
Okay, this is the reason they invalidated their own elections. They said that the cast vote record can reveal the identity of voter. First of all, that's not true. It can't. There's no names of the voters on it. But let's just say, Joe, for the sake of the argument, that was true. That the cast vote record reveals the identity of voter.
Then
that means the state of Arizona has the ability to reveal the identity of every single voter. Therefore, there's no more secret ballot, and they violated the law. Therefore, their election is a null and void. So the reason that they give me for not giving me the cast vote record, assuming it to be true for the sake of the argument, then invalidates their entire election because the incumbent state, who's the most invested in elections, now knows how everybody voted.
If only we had a 69-year-old Gold Star mom to go and get some of this data. Do you happen to know anyone, Joe?
Yeah, I do.
That'd be nice. That would be good. If we could more data, would be great here. I would love to be able to see this in more detail. It's really interesting.
You want to see the email real quick? I kid you not. I'm going to share my thing. I'm going to go look at what is it? Arizona, Maricopa. Okay. So elections says. Okay, I gotta find it. Sent on behalf. Yeah, this looks pretty recent. It says I sent the cast vote record is the sole source of tabulations, whatever. If you don't have it, please let me know. I'm just looking for the message. Okay, this is them. So let me zoom in. Based on a Vice, this is them. You guys see this? Maricopa.gov. Okay. So this is what I sent to them. I said the cast vote record is the sole source of tabulations for certification of modern digital elections. So don't tell me you don't have it. I know you have it. Surrender the 2024 cast vote record. They still haven't done it yet. They wrote, custodian of records comments. Based on the advice of counsel related to ensuring a voter's constitutional right to a secret ballot, as well as the best interests of the state and privacy exceptions to the public record laws, we are unable to produce any records responsive to this request. Custodian of records for Maricopa County Elections Department, customer email, Edward, whatever. I said the cast vote record can't do this. I said you also gave me 2020 and 2022 cast vote records, so what's the problem? I said they also can't vote because I said, but if that statement were true, it would mean that there is no secret ballot because you, the government, can already see how each voter casts their ballot. In your own words, you just admitted to violating their constitutional right to a secret ballot. Which is it? They never responded. Okay?
What's
This is
the
real.
what's the email? What's the email that everyone can actually email to say, give us, we want a copy of the cast vote record?
Right here.
And
I'll pull it up again.
Ed, go ahead and put up on the screen what it is they need to
It's
ask for. And
elections. Yep.
I want
There it
everybody to CC Apollo. What email would they want to CC? Info at untamednation.com. So what I'm trying to do is see if we can get 5, 7, 10,000 people to send a request in for the cast vote record. What's the email, Ed?
Elections, capital PRR, at risc.maricopa.gov.
Let me read that fully out. Elections, ELECTIONS, P as in Papa, RR, at RISC.MARICOPA.gov.
Correct.
We can't see it in full though. We need to put it bigger on screen because
there we go.
There it is.
Yeah. Can you do it in a different font by any chance? I know I'm being a little.
And it's missing the dots. Where's it? I can't see. Okay, so there's a dot between the gov and the A, and a dot between the RISC and the M. It's a little hard to see. Yeah, the font. There we go. That's better.
So in our court case in Nevada, we're assuming that their cast vote record looks like Maryland, Colorado, and Nevada until they produce their cast vote record to say to prove us wrong. Okay.
But they said advice of counsel, so they violated a Open Records Request Act. Just flippantly. I can just say I'm not going to do it.
Based on advice of counsel.
Have we talked to Brian Blem on this?
I haven't. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But yeah.
I need to let me see if I can find this.
Guys,
really
can
quick.
I get 5-6 minutes to put my grandmother on the toilet? She's very old.
Yes. We'll talk through it. You just go.
Okay. I know.
You could have just said, "Can I have 5 minutes?"
No, I'm serious. She's
talking about
91.
grandmas.
She's 91. She can't even walk. Okay, I have to carry her. So in some of the areas, I'll be right back.
All right.
I would make a joke about that, but that's actually a little bit sad. I hope Grandma Solomon's doing well.
That's pretty. I mean, what do you think? This is the first time you've seen some of this stuff.
I think that it's more full of crap than Grandma Solomon is right now.
That's a good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it is. It's full of crap. That is full.
We can have a little bit of fun with this. Ryan Blem.
By the way, I may invite myself to the Solomon Thanksgiving next year, and I will laserize all of his liberal family members anytime they say anything that's too woke. Don't worry. I got you for backup.
Is it Brian Blem? There he is. Need to check this guy really quick because he's a lawyer. I was following him. Let me see if I can find out. I can grab him real quick. So Brian he's a lawyer there, so he could just do a records request and get in the middle of it. We have a problem on a records request out of Arizona. Think we might need you at Brian Blem. And let's see if I can get Rachel in here too. Rachel Alexander, you should probably know what is happening. All right. I just put it out there. We'll get Brian involved in it. Get a lawyer on it to see if we can get a deal that says that they won't turn it over. So we got 2020, 2022. We showed all the things mathematically and scientifically that were wrong with those elections.
Yep.
Now we're in 2024 and they won't give up any of the information. keep in mind, Carrie Lake's probably one of the most popular candidates across the country. And she couldn't beat a Democrat who stayed in her basement.
Even though Trump won.
It
doesn't make any sense. A chubby demo who had a ton of gaffes, not that smart of a guy, pretty evil with some of the things he believes and says, supports abortion up until 9 months, for example, wants to blow out the debt even more, totally weak on immigration in a state where that's very important. And yet somehow he's able to beat Kerry in a state that Trump handily won. It doesn't make any sense now, does it?
No, but they want to whitewash it. They want to gaslight us. They want to tell us that what we're seeing is not real. And we have, I mean, look, when I talk about the amount of evidence that we have on it, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We can't play all of it. Let me just go through and see if I can show this real quick. Hey, let's just put this up real quick. This is Lone Raccoon, his response to what he saw related to what Ed Solomon did. So I think it's number 3. So he, by the way, helped write the reports in Mesa County that Tina Peters got that show the separate databases and the fact that they had fraudulent elections there as well. So here's some quick observations. They did 3 things here. First, they removed the column counting group, which is what tells you how the vote was cast in person, by mail, etc. Suspicious because of the Mesa pattern existing in their mail-ins. The second thing they did was resort the file. When they resort both files by CVR number, they match up fairly well. There are 430 less overall votes in the changed one. Oddly, none in the presidential Senate races. The most missing votes for any one candidate was 10, and this occurred at a few times. The number of ballots matching, but there's a difference of one that is very obvious at the end. Looks like something was done manually. There was a CVR number 352627 in the old file, the highest number that could manually enter to me, and only had votes for the propositions. This was removed in the new one. So what we have here is a puzzle. Did they remove the counting group and resort the file to create plausible deniability? When did they generate the new one? And who ordered the code read? I do not see substantive changes to the numbers. So as Edward has said, it's quite possible they did this to hide the patterns we have both found in the data. This is a big deal. And every time we turn around, we find more fraud.
So does Rudy Giuliani get his $100 million back, or?
He settled that case.
Yeah.
He did settle it.
He did.
So at least it...
Which is crazy to think about. But, I mean, the amount of lawfare that has been associated with this cheating is one of the worst things about it, in my opinion, because they have forced people who have tried to expose it to either have to pay large sums of money, go totally bankrupt, or go to prison. And they're still doing it. They're still going after people right now. It's not over yet.
I mean, they're going after me.
Right. Like right now, you're having to pay money, even though it's, I don't know what all the details you're willing to share publicly, but.
Oh, they're all, it's very public. I mean, they want me to give up my, the people, the guy that got me on the call, they want me to give up him. And they want me to give up the person that got me access to the Facebook files that he said weren't his and that they were all made up and he doesn't have social media. So on both sides, you have Coomer lying, right? Mm-hmm. But if I don't give it up, they're threatening me with $1,000 a day fine.
Yep.
And jail.
Which should be illegal to do, by the way.
We got Ed back? All right, let's wrap up with Ed. Ed.
Links in chat. Do you see them?
What's that?
I want that. This is how everybody can serve their country right now. The first link in the chat of the Zoom call.
Are you going to tell us we got to go get tiki torches and?
No, this is what they every citizen watching needs to get. This link needs to be available to them. The first link that says .ges Arapaho, that's one of the archives that they accidentally missed when they deleted almost all of the archives of the original cast vote record.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean they removed the archive?
They went back. Mark Hook can explain more. and they actually retroactively even deleted internet archives of the original cast vote record, but they missed a few, and this is one of them. There's a few more. This is one I'm putting out in public. And this archive, the first link, has still the original cast vote record with the lockstep motion. But once this goes public, they're going to start, they're going to go nuke that link. But everybody needs to download that now. And that
Apollo,
is the original.
Did you download it? Okay, let's make sure we put it in a special file.
Okay. That's and it's still from the Arapaho.gov website. It's still in one of their archives that they missed on their purge. And it still has a lockstep motion.
So I need to get this stuff over to President Trump.
Yeah, so we need federal intervention. In our case, they clearly were trying to walk me into a massive perjury charge in June when we go to trial in Nevada, because this Colorado cast vote record is one of our main exhibits.
And so they changed it.
Yes, because they couldn't find anybody that was willing to defend the original. I can't blame them. There's no defense against it you can put up in a courtroom, especially in front of a judge who's good at math.
Wow. Well, Ed,
and they would have threw the book. They were going to do what Tina Peters on.
Yeah, I mean, perjury's easy. I mean, you're not a liar, so there's that. I was just telling Matt about the fact that you're
here's the thing.
Innovative guys out
I
there.
have been locked up for 3 years on a drug charge, okay, for the sale of cocaine. So I have no problem sitting in prison on a fake perjury charge while continuing to fight Andy's case with my greens on, or whatever color they wear over there.
No, we need to take care of Grandma, bro. We can't have you in jail.
So. Oh, I know. I don't know who's going to lift Grandma. I just got done. My abs are getting really strong lately. Let me tell you, I have to curl her every day, twice a day. But the point is, it's like what they wanted to do was get an expert witness who didn't know they altered the cast vote record. He would have said, I looked at these cast vote records and I didn't find anything like Mr. Solomon said. And they would have went, what? And then I would have said, Your Honor, I'm going to download it right now from their website and show you. And then it would not have been there. And then I would have hit with a massive perjury charge. And they would have threw the whole book at me. And then dismissed the case and everything else. That was obviously their plan.
We need to arrest all of these people.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them. That's the thing that we can do right now is literally go after them. We don't have a choice. I mean, there is no choice. There is no option B. Ed, thanks for coming on with us, brother. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll continue to fight this. I'll talk to you after the show, but keep fighting. No perjury charge. Grandma's good for now.
Yeah.
And I actually love Ed. People get mad at me when I bring up Ed's.
And listen, check this out before I go.
What's that?
In our exhibit, it says in Exhibit A in Andy versus the state of Nevada that we have forensic copies of this backed up in case they try to retroactively alter it. We even said that explicitly, that we are ready for this.
And they did it anyway.
And they did it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that they can fight this, is to say that I lied. The only way you can fight that.
So just a little fun fact, because I want to have a little bit of fun on the show. Ed is an entrepreneur of magnificent proportions. So he did get locked up for cocaine, but he did it there. He used carrier pigeons.
Are you serious?
Drones.
As much as I hate,
he would drop
the
cocaine
from that is still kind of that is somehow that's
some of them are
awesome.
politicians.
he had his own Diddy list.
Here's the listen. I met them all at the Watermill Catering Center where they all went to their big events when I was a fake waiter there. That was my cover job. Here's one more link to Clark County's 2024. You want to get their cast vote record now? It's still intact with the parallel motion.
Have we put these links up, by the way? Have we put them up for people?
When I saw that prime minister earlier, I said, that's my kind of girl.
That's funny. Can we release the names of all the politicians who bought drugs? Would you?
He'd be dead in a minute. He'd be dead before his yeah.
No.
He can do this stuff.
Why would I do that to them? They're not involved in this.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You know why I got 3 years? Because I didn't rat. I was convicted. I was charged with an A2 and convicted on an A2 felony with no reduction. I got hit with the maximum sentence. Like, oh, if you just tell us where you get, well, because I'm like, I said, listen, if you give me about $300 million and you send me to another country, wipe my identity, and bust me out of jail right now, I might think about it. I might think about it. Obviously, they weren't going to do that. I mean, it was so stupid. Like, you don't do things like that and then rat on other people to get out of trouble yourself. To me, that is so dishonorable. Like, why would you be engaged in criminal activities and then do that? You get what I'm trying to say? It's like a responsibility issue there. It's not just honor; it's responsibility.
Yeah. So what Ed's saying is, don't get involved in criminal activity in the first place, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yes. And we've talked about this on the thing. Somebody got mad at me, like, quit bringing up Ed's past. Man, they do.
They bring up my past in the courtroom every time we go in there. I get flogged every hearing.
He's like, yeah, so.
Yeah, I did. Listen, I wrote a book. I'm
still mad, dude. Now what?
I wrote a book in 2019 before the 2020 elections. I have a whole book on it.
Yeah.
I asked, I'm like, sorry, are you reading from chapter 4? That's what I said. Like, what are you doing?
All right. Hey, Ed, thanks for joining us, brother. We appreciate you very much. Keep up the fight.
All right, you got it.
All right, God bless you. Fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
And he literally is. Want to talk about a guy with like an IQ of 180 or 190? I mean, way up there.
Yeah, you can tell from listening to him talk that his IQ is well beyond even the average smart person.
Yeah. Now we have one more thing to cover. We're a little over on time right now, but this is for pharmaceutical industry. You want to jump into it?
I do. Yeah. The Trump tweet, Trump truth.
Let's put it up. Put it up.
By the way, I hate the branding of Trump's platform, a truth. Like, it's just so dumb. No offense to Trump. I think it's so dumb, like calling it a truth. Like, okay, all right, we get it, Trump. But anyway, this is a very good truth, though. This is a very good truth.
You want to read it or you want me to read it?
I think I can read it, but it's a little small on the screen. I'm gonna read it. For many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the United States of America were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug manufactured in the exact same laboratory or plant by the same company. It was always difficult to explain why, and embarrassing, because in fact, there was no correct or rightful answer. The pharmaceutical companies would say for years, there we go, you just put up a little bigger there. I appreciate that, Apollo, but now I'm gonna have to find where I was. Okay, would say for years that it was research and development costs, which by the way somehow only go to us, and that's what he explains, and that all those costs were and would be for no reason whatsoever borne by the suckers of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me. Not with the Republican Party, which is a lie. Most of the Republicans will sell out for $1. We are going to do the right thing, something that Democrats have fought many years. Therefore, I am pleased to announce that tomorrow morning in the White House at 9 a.m., I will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. Prescription drugs and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the rest of the world in order to equalize and, for the first time in many years, bring fairness to America. I'll be instituting a most favored nations policy whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price. Huge, absolutely huge. And he teased this a little bit, saying he was about to make a big announcement. It was blowing up all over Twitter. Everyone was talking about it. But then he continues, and our citizens' healthcare costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before. Additionally, on top of everything else, the United States will save trillions of dollars. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Make America great again. 100,000 likes. Very popular truth. And it is the truth. He's right about that. And he did try in 2020 a little bit, but he has more momentum now. He has a little bit more sway in Congress based on the number of people who are likely going to vote for it. So we'll see if this thing can get codified into law. But it's a huge first step, and it absolutely is necessary because for us to pay so much more than everyone else, you know who's pocketing the money? The pharmaceutical executives, Big Pharma. It's the same thing that happens with big military industrial complex. It's the same thing that happens with the vaccines, which is directly related to pharma, but it's what happens every time. They take these huge profit margins, lobby the government so that no one does anything about it to stop these monopolies and to stop them from gaslighting and ramping up the prices. And then they profit big time off it and sell off into the sunset and oftentimes move to another country after that. So it's disgusting. And if it doesn't get stopped immediately, then we're going to continue to live in a world where there's not only an unfair disparity, but where a lot of people are actually going to other countries in order to get these drugs and bring them back. So it's a huge extra expenditure, a lot of extra resources being used. It's not efficient. Finally, we may be able to do something about it.
You know, let me just be a Debbie Downer, though. This is an executive order.
Yep.
And so I said, none of this matters if we don't get rid of voting machines and mail-in ballots. It's window dressing or lipstick on a pig. And if you think that the symptom of the problem can be solved by executive order, it can't. It cannot. There's only one President Trump. Only one. And what comes behind him is not going to have the courage, tenacity, or intelligence that he has. They just aren't. And so if we don't restore the voice of the people and we allow them to do what they've done in Colorado, Nevada, I mean, states all over the country, all of them. I would argue that all of them are compromised. Then we have no chance. We're, and I'm sorry to get so far down the Debbie Downer. I'm telling you right now, we are literally minutes away from the collapse of this nation. Minutes, not hours, we are, and minutes meaning that, you know, we have till 2026. No, we don't. We have a vote coming up. In 2026, they're going to steal everything.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be worse than bad.
And they use those off-year presidential elections in the 2022, 2026 cycles, 2018.
They're stealing
They know
everything.
they can hide it better there because less eyes are focused on it. They know it's easier. It's much easier to sway those elections in their favor than it is to sway the presidential elections.
Well, I said this, and I'll continue to say it. It will take a war with the devil, not seen before, but it'll be worth it. In other words, if we don't do something right now, to go after these people and to stop this, get Tina out of jail, we have zero chance. Sorry. Everybody's going to be mad at me for saying it. I'm not afraid to say the quiet part out loud.
Everyone needs to have an Untamed hat, I think, also, because we need to all be able to see each other and know what is going on. Everyone needs to have the hat. Everyone needs to have a shirt or a hat or something where if we see you on the street or if you see someone else, we can recognize that we're part of the same group. I think that is super important. We need to have a collective identity, and we have to make a move soon together. Can't be by ourselves. Has to be all of us together.
Yeah. And I think if we actually create a better outcome and we actually address this, the world is our oyster. I mean, President Trump is drawing the right conclusions, but so many people around him, man, they're just not.
People have no idea how prosperous the United States is capable of being right now. We could literally single-handedly usher in a new era of global dominance with only a few small changes if our political class wasn't prohibiting it and cheating us out of it every single step of the way. It'd be so easy.
Hey, Matt, what if I told you that as soon as President Trump made that announcement, the liberals want to tell us why it'd be bad for us? Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
You're just going to blow your mind. This is like mental gymnastics at a whole new level. Let's play it. Yeah.
Liberals are now fighting against low drug prices for Americans.
Donald Trump has
has just announced that he will be signing an executive order tomorrow that could upend the pharmaceutical industry in the United States as we know it.
Yeah, he's instituting the preferred nation policy, which simply says that you can't charge Americans more money for American pharmaceuticals than any other country. It really is that simple. Because the pharmaceutical companies right now make their drugs in America. They use subsidies from the American people. And then after they make the drugs, they sell it overseas for pennies on the dollar, but sell it to Americans for massive profits. And this policy simply says that whatever your lowest global price is for whatever medicine you made, that is the only price you get to sell it for in the United States. That's reasonable. We are helping pay for the development of these medicines, the development of these drugs. Yet we are being charged sometimes 170, sometimes 1,000 times what they're paying for it in other countries. And all Donald Trump is saying, if you're gonna produce your drugs here, if you're gonna get subsidies from the government, you do not get to rip off Americans. And liberals are fighting against that. This is further proof that no matter what Trump does, no matter how much it benefits Americans, no matter how many Americans it benefits, they are going to be against it.
It's disgusting, really. Imagine sitting there with a straight face and pretending like you're for higher drug prices for Americans and trying to brainwash people into going along with that just because it's anti-Trump. It's so unbelievably dumb. And it's if you really look at that and are against it, you're not only low IQ, but you have been brainwashed into
Low
a system
HQ,
that hates you.
EQ, IQ, low everything.
Low involvement with Q itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the Qs are down. Probably missing a Q on your keyboard too.
Well, this is it. What it gets this is my problem. They're now saying the quiet part out loud, but it doesn't make any difference because they've been telling us for the last 4 years where the devil is. But JFK came out. I'm sorry, RFK came out, not JFK. RFK came out and said that Congress and the Supreme Court are owned. Let's play it.
I'll never admit who by
This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator on Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your
He was going to say balls.
To stand up to the American people.
He was going to say balls.
Yeah, he was. He would have said it. But by the way, you'll notice he doesn't mention who specifically are behind the lobbies or the pharmaceutical groups. Because he's not allowed to. Because a lot of them are directly tied to the Israeli government. That's why he's not allowed to mention it. So just so you know.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There was a U.S. citizen that was actually released. Speaking of Israel, there's a U.S. citizen that was in a hostage in Gaza that's been released. And the United States worked directly with Hamas, bypassed Israel altogether. And it was announced on the rapid response deal, and President Trump was talking about it. Let's go ahead and play it.
And third, I'm very happy to announce that Edan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who has done a fantastic job. I know a lot of people that have a lot of talent. I know Steve had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, but there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality, aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter, who does, but he learned it in about 2 hours. And he's been fantastic, so I want to just thank Steve. But they're going to be releasing Edan in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy.
Love to see that.
We did it on our own. We had to go basically call for the release on our own.
You want to know why Netanyahu and Israel, the Israeli government, because that's an important distinction, because there's a lot of good people in Israel, but the Israeli government has very few good people in it.
Very, very few.
And the reason why they're pissed about this is because they want a war in the Middle East with Iran. They want to take out Iran. They want to take out Gaza and put in their own people there, expand their nation, because they want to grow to a larger country with more influence. And so that's their plan. And Trump's like, all right, well, we're not going to let you use the fact that they have American hostages to try to get us involved further into this. There's a little bit of a rift between Netanyahu and Trump that is emerging, allegedly. A good use of that word, because not everyone's buying it. Trump has been very pro-Israeli government for a long time because he makes a lot of money from donors who are very pro-Israeli government, so he has to be. And he's a little bit controlled by it. Only a little bit, though. I feel like we may be seeing him emerge away from that, and that would be really, really positive if he does.
Well, I think, we talked about this before, about the difference between Jewish and Jews.
Yeah, and atheist Jewish people. Yeah,
and those are the people he's running away from. And he's unapologetically saying, look, I can support the people of Israel, the good people, while telling all of the leaders that you're diabolical and you piss off. Right. And there is a pain that does transfer to the people of the Israelites. Right. There is a pain that transfers to them. But keep in mind that this is over the last 7 years, 5 times the state of Israel has collapsed. The what is it called? The legislation has collapsed. The Constitution had to be rewritten 5 times. It's not. I mean, they're not a stable country.
Nope.
But there's opportunity and chaos, and they've created an immense amount of chaos and a lot of money coming through there. And it's the Jewish people that we have to worry about. It's not the Jewish people. It's the Jewish, and frankly, those diabolical monsters control much of what happens in that part of the world.
Well, we also saw, so there's been a few developments regarding that. So the first big one is obviously Trump seems to be pulling back from war. He's planning to supposedly recognize Gaza as an independent state, which is actually kind of a big deal.
There's nothing left of it.
There's nothing left. They destroyed it. And they could have prevented October 7th from ever happening in the first place. Defending themselves versus taking more land and taking the life of a lot of children is two different things. And they pretended like it's because Hamas was hiding behind children, which may be true in some cases, but was only true in some of those cases. And in many cases, they were just indiscriminately dropping bombs because they did not care. That's evil. That is evil. And it's obvious based on the patterns, it's obvious based on the before and after videos, it's obvious based on the firsthand accounts and testimony from people there. There's no doubt, there's no debate. And yet here we are in this situation now where they're trying to go even further, and Trump may be saying, put on the brakes. Maybe.
Well, he's also putting on the brakes on a bunch of other ways as far as to stop some of the pain that's been happening around the world. He announced that the citizenship, so if you're a white farmer in South Africa, the chances of you living is slim and none.
Yep.
And so what he said is, if you're being genocided, because that's what's happening there, then just come on over. We'll set you up over here in the United States, give you citizenship. That, I think, is a righteous move. And he had something to say about here. We should probably listen to it.
Yep. And they're white, by the way, which
Yeah.
fits better with our culture than any other race of people,
Well,
for the most part. Not that there can't be people of other races who don't fit with our culture, because there certainly are, but it's the highest percent of white people fit with our culture than any other group. And so,
well, because we don't fight each other. I mean, it's not tribal. But I mean, I think that you have generations of people who aren't here from other countries that don't have that cultural, I don't know, indifference, where they don't want to assimilate. They don't want to assimilate. Those are the ones that cause us the most pain inside the country, because they come here and they take and they don't give back.
Yep. And the reason why I say that is because I'm trying to move the Overton window. That's my goal. I want to get it to a place where we don't have this mass migration. And if we have to say the word white in order to make that the case, I'm going to move the Overton window no matter what the consequences are.
But there's no consequences, because we are the untamed truth.
There we go.
And so we get to talk about what you don't have to like it. And you know, there are times I won't agree with Matt, but I will agree with this. We don't. There's not a barrio in Chicago with a bunch of white people that are out there killing other white people, or killing anyone for that matter.
Yep.
Now, there are white people killing people, but you go into the south side of Chicago and it's gang violence and it's unbelievable. You talk about MS-13 and some of these other gangs. They're not white gangs. Now, are there white gangs? Yeah, they're called 1%ers. And you know what they do? They spend time giving money back to cancer treatments for children and doing great stuff. I've never seen MS-13 come out and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a candy run for kids in the children's hospital.
No, well, they definitely do that, but it's just a different type of candy.
Yeah.
Nose candy.
Nose candy. Yeah. Macron candy.
Yeah.
But let's play this deal on the farmers.
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something. But we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they'd talk about it. That would be the only story they'd talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here.
My favorite version of Trump right there. I love it.
He doesn't care.
No.
And look, I don't care. I don't actually think you care. I don't think anybody cares.
The amount of F's I give is 0.
And the point is that nobody wants to talk about the evil. They want to cover it up.
Yep.
They want to cover it up and cover it up and cover it up. And President Trump's like, you know what? Go piss up that rope over there. Get away from me.
I love it. Did you also see the Pope said that Christians are God's chosen people?
Hmm?
That's awesome. I mean, that's
pretty
like that's a high level of base. And specifically, he's saying that Jewish people aren't God's chosen people, Christians are. And that doesn't mean Jewish people can't become God's chosen people by becoming Christians. But he's directly saying that is his opinion. Christians are God's chosen people. He is publicly saying that he's not afraid. And I think it's extremely powerful. And we may have been wrong. I may have been wrong. You were more hopeful in the Pope than me. But I may have been wrong about the Pope. I'm not ready to take it back yet, but maybe, just maybe, it was a few interns that were the ones doing those retweets and tweets, and the Pope himself, with a couple exceptions, is actually relatively based and will be a strong leader of the Christian faith. This could be huge. If he's able to do that, it could literally change the entire course of our culture.
What did I say? Apollo, go ahead and say it.
We'll see.
What did I say?
It's still early. You gotta wait a little longer to take a victory lap, but so far it's looking good. Matt, will you admit it? Like I thought when I pulled up a sign, Joe's right. like tomorrow, I'm gonna come in and have a Joe's right shirt. Yeah, I mean Joe was right so far. So far, he has said no bad things and only good things. He has been a based pope, and I'm starting zoom in on me. I'm starting to like him a little bit. I may be warming up to the pope, some pope hope.
Pope hope. Look, I've been telling people that I've been exploring the Catholic Church, and so there's a thing you have to go through called the RCIA, and so people are gonna get mad at me for this. So that's the process by which you become Catholic, and so I've been going through this spiritual journey. People get mad at. I mean, people are like, Joe, you can't become Catholic. Catholic's bad. Catholic's bad. And I just, I feel like I'm driven by the Lord, and I feel like I've been looking into this for a long time. Like, where do I belong? Because I've been to like 100 different milk toast Christian churches, right? And I don't know. So I'd love to hear your comments on that, of going through this process. If you're Catholic, what your thoughts are. And if you're not Catholic, I thought that this Pope was the most sleeper cell Pope ever. And I actually think that all of the cardinals that were voting for him,
They knew what they were doing.
I think that they all said, well, nobody else is going to vote for this one, so we did. And it just, I mean, think about that.
Wow.
Or they used the Dominion machine.
Oh yeah, the Dominion Papal Conclave. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened.
Well, one last thing before we outro. There's a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And
Have you noticed there's been less scam calls lately? I wonder why.
yeah,
In relation?
yeah.
Hello, would you like to buy one more?
All right, let's go ahead and play this. This is President Trump saying, okay, by the way, we got a ceasefire.
We're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed, so I'm very proud.
Millions of people could have been killed. Very proud, as he should be. That's good. I mean, we don't want people to die. I mean, now with the Indian scammers specifically, that's debatable. But the rest of the people in India, we obviously want them to stay alive. And even the Indian scammers, we'll let them stay alive. Just life in prison. That'll be
The Indian scammers, man, they take so much money. So I play with them every time they get on. I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, Joe, you have to buy this for this Microsoft. And I'm like, oh yeah. All right, what do I need to do?
very urgent. Go, Joe, you must buy.
You have to go get me a gift card. Okay, I'm gonna go get you a gift card. You want to stay on the phone with me? Yeah. Okay. No, I got call me back in 15 minutes. I gotta go. So they'll call me back and I'll be like, oh yeah, I got the gift card. I pull it. Is it 2? He goes, you're messing with me. I was like, maybe I might wasted a little bit of your time. I'm having a little bit of fun. So I've recorded them, these conversations with these people.
We'll have to do a segment, Joe messing with Indian scammers on the show. I feel like that's a good.
There's so many of them, brother. So many. I want to welcome my friend Andrew back home. He was in Australia for the last 2 weeks. Welcome home, Andrew. He's like, I wanted to stay, but then they had a problem. They don't have guns over here, so I got to come home. So hopefully we can keep our guns here as well. Are you want to pray us out?
I do. Well, yeah, I pray us out. We switch back and forth every show. So I pray us out, then Joe prays us out back and forth. And by the way, this is the most information, the best team. You got Joe and I who are we're making jokes all the time, having fun, but giving the real truth, the real opinions that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Neither of us are paid by anyone or afraid to say anything. This is the only show you need to watch every single day. There is no other show that you can go to every single day at 4 p.m. If you watch your show, you will know every single thing that's happening and the truth about it. And no other show can say that.
Nope. No.
So-
And no other show can have this much fun.
Yeah.
Period.
While doing it. So notifications on, subscribe on Rumble. You got to come join the Untamed Nation right now. Get a hat, be part of it every single day, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Be with us.
Should we pray?
Let's pray.
Apple Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio. Tune in anymore. Go over, give us a 5-star review, download it. If you're on your car, you're driving, you can pick us up there. And Rumble has a new feature that when you're on Rumble, you can hit play, you can put your phone down, and it'll continue to play even when the phone goes to sleep. So
And actually do that, by the way, because every time you give us a 5-star review, that is going to lead to a recommendation that someone will watch our show instead of someone else's show, which is going to brainwash them. So you really are one review at a time, changing a lot. It's worth it to do.
Yeah, let us brainwash you. We're really good at it.
Yeah, we're much better brainwash. Our brainwashing is much more.
It's good brainwashing.
good
It's truth brainwashing.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the bad stuff. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for the leaders that you've put at a time such as this in positions of trust and authority, Father. We are grateful for the sacrifices over the last 5 years that have been made. We're grateful for those that came before us that were able to warn us, even though many of us did not even pay attention to it. Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to fix what's in front of us rather than you just wiping the slate clean, because I know you could do that. And as frustrated as we are as people, I can't imagine how much frustration you have in what's been done in this beautiful world. Father, we're grateful for the gifts that you give us. And we ask that you help us use those gifts to serve you. Father, we ask you to put a special blessing over President Trump, to bless Melania, bless his children, to bless the people in his cabinet, to bless the people that are overseas that represent our nation. Bless them with the wisdom and the fortitude to be able to push forward, the courage to be able to push forward and create solutions that are not just good for Americans, but good for the world. Father, we ask you to give a hedge of protection around President Trump, to keep him protected and keep him in a place where he can be well rested, even though he doesn't get much rest. Father, we ask you to bless Tina Peters as she is in jail, that she may be protected and that she may have the burdens lifted off of her, and she may be able to get out, I would say tomorrow. But, I know that bold prayers and bold requests, so that's my bold request, is that she'll get out tomorrow. Father, I ask you to bless the people that are listening, that they may have the burdens lifted off of them. And I've got a couple of special prayers, requests. Dave Bear. The man that saved my life during COVID was able to keep me on this side of the dirt as cancer again. And it doesn't look good, Father. So right now we need you. And so I just ask, Father, that you just, you bless him with strength, bless his beautiful wife and 3 kids. He has done so much to serve. And you've given him so many gifts. Father, I would just ask that you cure him. And I know that the chances of him are not as great as they were the first time. But Father, I just ask you that you step in to this one and heal him completely. Thank you, Father. I ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
He's our CEO, one of our companies. He's a good man. Never seen someone with as positive attitude as him. So anyway, I figured we'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. God bless you.
God bless.